Right now, thousands of people opposing Tunisia's government are rallying in the capital of Tunis. They're demanding the country's National Assembly be dissolved and the prime minister resign. The government is refusing both demands. For more on the situation, I'm joined by Peter Bechtold. He is the former director of the Near East and North Africa Studies at the U.S. State Department's Foreign Service Institute. Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Let me ask you this. Is the trigger for all of this the recent assassinations of some of the popular opposition leaders, including Mohamed Brahmi?
Yes, it is, primarily. Tunisia is more pluralistic than Egypt, so you don't have two camps. You have, on the one side, a variety of Islamists. On the other side, you have a variety of secular movements. But the ruling party, the Nahda, had been in a coalition government with one of the secular parties. But another secular party headed by a Marxist was in opposition, and their leader was tragically assassinated. And it is being blamed on the government for creating an atmosphere that was unfriendly to liberals, which I think is a bit of an overstatement to pin it on the government.
Well, Peter, people there are frustrated with the economy, the fact that the government has been seen as ineffective. People want a constitution and elections. The opposition wants a voice. So how closely does this mirror what we saw and are continuing to see in Egypt?
Well, there are similarities and there are differences. In both cases, you have polarization between, on the one hand, the secular groups, intellectuals, internationally oriented people, and on the other hand, you have religiously more conservative people, and that's in every single Muslim country. And if you think about it, it's also the case in the United States and other countries around the world. But the revolutions, so-called, they have to work themselves out. In Tunisia, you have more choices. You also have a more moderate form of an Islamist movement, the Nahda. They have been described by scholars and even myself, who has met the leadership, as the single most moderate of all the Islamist movements. Whereas in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood is much more conservative. But the challenge, including the assassination, is attributed to the Salafists, and they are on the far right of the movements. And so, as is true in American politics, the extremists are trying to take over the center, and the center is trying to ward them off.
Now, Peter, you said things have to work their way out. Tunisia, as you know, the birthplace of the Arab Spring. When we look at the landscape, we've got Egypt, Libya, Tunisia. What will history's verdict be of the Arab Spring, do you think?
Well, you know, it hasn't sprung yet. It's been only in less than half of the countries in the Arab world, but in the ones where we've had uprisings, which is my preferred term, these uprisings have brought about a necessary change. And all change is painful. You know, you can look at American history. The Civil War was one such example. What kind of a country do we want to be? What kind of a society? And in Egypt, as in Tunisia, and for that matter, in Libya, in Syria, in Yemen, in Bahrain, the countries that are most often in the news, the question is, how much religion should there be in the public domain, or how little? And you have established groups that have vested interests, and you have people who are desperate, as you pointed out, for economic improvement, some of them just for stability and security. What worries me is what your commentator just 2 minutes ago reported, is that in Egypt, the new governors are all coming from the security services, and the security services are much more hated than the military or the street police.
Good
These
point.
are the black-shirted people.
Sure. Well, Peter Bechtold joining us live from Portland. Thank you so much for your analysis. Certainly appreciate it.